Okay, thank you for you guys to stay, to listen to us. It's the last story of the day. Thank you for GlobalG.A.P to invite us over here. We're going to talk about farming for consumer, and when we talk about farming for consumer, this is our consumer who's buying what we produce, what we certify. We have 7 billion today of those. We're going to have much more in a couple of years. So these are the people we're looking to farm for them. When we talk about farming for consumer, is it farming closer to the consumer, just next door where they live? Is it going to be all robotized farming, no people on the field? Is it going to be lab farming, so we get all safe, no contamination? Is it going to be high-tech farming? Now the question is always, what's it going to be? Or is it just going to be a game in the future that the kids will remember, oh, farming, that was farming. The truth is farming will still be the same. We need land, we need water, we need people. And the three major things here is we have 3 levels of food safety that we will have to adhere, and there's no way to get out of it. And the first one is quantity. We need to produce quantity. And I think what we're talking about here is one of the things that will help us produce more quantity. The second one is quality. Okay? Talking about quantity, there are over almost 1 billion people that don't have enough food to eat, according to FAO. There's about 10 million children that die every year because they don't have food. That's according to UNICEF. If we talk about quality, there's 1.8 million people who die every year from contaminated food. And finally, the last one, impact. I don't like to use sustainability because everybody uses that, so I'm trying to talk about impact. So those 3 elements are going to be there forever for us. And when we talk about impact, there's about 10 hectares of deforested land per minute in the world. There's about 60,000 square kilometers of fertile land turned into desert areas. So this is a big impact. So those 3 elements are going to be always together when we talk about farming for consumers. Okay? So a quick notion on the quantity issue. We mapped up a couple of food chains, and we look at the banana food chain. Studies show that we lose about 65% of that product through the food chain. Doesn't get to the consumer, to anybody's stomach. That's unbelievable. So there's a lot of opportunity to improve quantity. In terms of quality, the same thing. We heard a lot of things about outbreaks. They're more frequent, they're stronger, they're happening everywhere, and they're being monitored so we get more information about them. And the third point is impact. We know that the current practices we have in place are no longer acceptable by the society. So we see a lot of involvement on the GlobalG.A.P standards, which help to bring that impact to a different level. We need to understand our resources. We talked a lot about water. So this is the clear 3 pillars for food safety in our understanding. Now the question is, why is that happening? Why are we losing so much? Why is that wasting so much things? Maybe we had mostly enough. We had less people than what we wanted to feed. That's not true. The truth is we have always worked alone, isolated. When we look at the food chain, from farmer, packer, distributor, and retail, we always worked in silos. We haven't been able to exchange. Historically, that's what happened. Today, with food traceability, with food safety, with all these elements we saw here today, certification, there's more coordination, more integration. So what happens from this scenario, one of the oldest food chains in the story, in the history of humankind, we have to put those links together. Those links have to work together so that we can, the collaboration will help bring meaningful value for all the stakeholders. So this is our challenge. Okay? So when we look at where does this take us to, this need of collaboration will take us to a different level of integration and will ultimately bring greater transparency. When we talk about transparency, there is something, I think a Colombian writer that said once that we have 3 types of life: the private life, the secret life, and the public life. We're going to end up having only one. And the milestone is going to be WikiLeaks. Before WikiLeaks, we lived in one way. After WikiLeaks, we live in a different world. So it's a milestone on our story, on our history, on our human mankind. So we have two options. Usually when we look in traceability, it's one step up, one step down, but we have to change that approach and say, if every single link on the food chain talks about one step up, one step down, we don't connect this. And what we want is those connections to be strong, to be collaborative. So we need to bring the food chain to a traceability system that actually can collaborate and can exchange information. Very quick. Now, those are about 24,000 farmers, growers, packers, retail stores in Brazil. These are part of a program developed by the Supermarket Association in Brazil. This program is traceability and pesticide residue monitoring. We have about 5,000 food analysis, food samples on 19 commodities. And this gives us, I picked 2 states in Brazil, just one in the north and one in the east, and one in the south, to show what had happened. So we have the color there on the state. That's the food that is being consumed, sold on those states. It's not 100% good. You have about 20% of non-conformity with pesticide over the limits. And we have the possibility, this project is worked with the government, so when we look at the other side, where is that food being sourced from? Which are the farmers? Where are those farmers located? We go to another map and say, wow, here I have a big picture, a better picture, so I can see that the red state here, that's the one that has the worst problems. So the government has the ability to pick that one, partner with the pesticide producers, distributors, and actually start training people to understand. We know which problems there are, we know which food products are having problems, which regions, which counties, which cities, but we don't give up the names because we want to give people the chance to improve their practices before starting to be fined. And the interesting about this whole process is that stronger than a fine is not being able to sell your product. So when we look at the supermarkets, the 28 supermarket chains that are involved with this project, once they get the notice that this farmer or this distributor has shipped out a product with higher levels than the authorized levels, they stop buying from that altogether. So is that a bigger pressure than a fine? If you're still selling, you have the money to pay the fine. If you're not selling, you get in trouble. So everybody starts collaborating to reduce the issues on food safety. This is another example. We're working with meat in Brazil. So every piece of meat that is wrapped, vacuum wrapped, has an identification on the back. And we will have Elio talking a little bit about this later on the fruits and vegetables. So the consumer can go in, check where that product came from. So you have a description. You have a map where was the slaughterhouse, where is the distribution center who actually distributed that meat, and if you want to go into the detail, which are the cities where the farms are located. So this is a very unique private sector driven solution for a problem that is out there for many, many years. So those are the farmers that are on that lot of the specific meat cuts that have been supplying that meat at the shelf. So how does all get together? We talk about everything starts at the farmer. So from the farmer on, we have one dimension. We map production areas, we map harvest, forecast, traceability, received product is a quality, rejected product is problem, and that feeds back to the farmer so he can improve the performance of his product throughout the chain. And the other dimension, that's where it's important to, the GlobalG.A.P comes in with the new discipline, which is a certification program. We appraise the farmers, we put together a development plan based on the GlobalG.A.P requirements, we train, we build commitment with those farmers, and finally we create a recognition program with GlobalG.A.P to actually get them to work together. So those are two-dimensional: collaborative traceability, progressive certification, and from there we get a lot of indicators, a lot of metrics. Farmers are able to understand where they stand compared with the others, comparing comparing how much of the requirements you comply with and what's your yields. So you know where you stand compared to the market. And that allows each farmer to have visibility how far they can grow, How much more is there to do? So it's a continuous improvement process. This helps on quantity, on quality, and of course on impact. So 2 case studies we're going to present now. One is Elio Nishimura. Oh, sorry, somebody's going to talk about this. The names. Casino Pão de Açúcar, it's the largest retail chain in Brazil. There's a program, Qualidade desde a origem, quality from the source. The program was focused on quality. We discovered that it improved the quantity available by the suppliers and ultimately is generating an impact benefit from the adherence to that protocol. The other one is Pepsi Foods in South America. The program is called Pepsi Way, and it focused on impact, and it's actually showed us there's a huge opportunity to improve the quality. And by improving quality, getting more out of the same resources, we have more quantity. Okay? So this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think we're living in an era where we're all talking about the same thing. We have collaborated with a lot of the same ideas. We have talked about the same ideas. And I think the only message I'm leaving here before they start is in a time where the media talks about transparency on a daily basis, the opportunity to the farmers, to the businesses to tell their story first, instead of justifying third-party allegations, is priceless to the product, to the brand, to the business. Thank you.